Former U.S. military pilot who worked in China arrested in Australia. U.S. Justice Department charges 13 Chinese nationals. Expel China. UK protesters rally against China. Video gaming might boost cognitive performance in children. Italy's new PM stirs gender debate. Lebanon fails to elect new president for the fourth time. Husband of former Princess Mako passes New York bar exam. Hindu Festival of Lights celebrated around the world.
Hello, I'm Wade Lee. Thank you for joining us on FUNDAY News. It is Wednesday, October 26th, and here are your top stories. A former U.S. military pilot and air combat instructor, Daniel Edmund Duggan, who worked in Qingdao, China since 2017 as the managing director of AVBiz Limited, was arrested last Friday in the rural town of Orange in New South Wales, Australia, and faces extradition to the United States. Duggan is a former U.S. citizen who moved to Australia and started a business called Top Gun Tasmania, hiring former U.S. and British military pilots to offer tourists joyrides in fighter jets.
Duncan's arrest came the same week the UK warned dozens of former military pilots to stop working in China or face prosecution on national security grounds under new laws. Australia is also investigating reports some of its former fighter pilots have been approached to work in China. An aviation source told Reuters that the FBI sought Duncan because of his work in China. Hong Kong company records show AVBiz Limited was registered there by Australian passport holder Daniel Edmund Duggan in 2017 and dissolved in 2020.
The U.S. Department of Justice has announced charges against 13 Chinese nationals who allegedly tried to influence U.S. rights, freedoms, and systems. 2 Chinese intelligence officers were charged with trying to steal confidential information from a global telecommunication company in order to obstruct a criminal prosecution in New York. However, both individuals have not yet been found. 4 Chinese nationals, including 3 intelligence officers, were charged in New Jersey for allegedly targeting Americans to serve as agents of China.
U.S. law enforcement will respond and demonstrate that law enforcement was able to disrupt these plots and bring perpetrators to justice.
Also, 7 Chinese nationals, including 2 who were arrested in New York on Thursday, were charged with taking part in a scheme to force a Chinese individual living in the U.S. to repatriate. The harassment of the U.S. resident was part of the People's Republic of China's so-called Operation Fox Hunt. In the case of the 2 Chinese intelligence officers, the Justice Department alleges that they tried to bribe a person they did not know was a U.S. double agent to obtain the prosecution's secret strategy.
A week after Hong Kong national was assaulted and beaten at the Chinese consulate in Manchester, England, hundreds in the UK gathered in separate local protests to denounce China and demand freedom for Hong Kong. Similar protests took place on Sunday elsewhere in the UK, including London, Nottingham, and Reading. Video posted on Twitter showed Londoners battling a rainstorm to reach the Chinese embassy in their city to deliver their message.
Last week, Chinese Consul General Zheng Xiyuan admitted to pulling the hair of Hong Kong protester Bob Chen during a scuffle that ensued at the Chinese consulate in Manchester, England. Viral videos of the incident show Chen being dragged into the consulate's grounds, where he was repeatedly punched and kicked by a group of masked men. British officials expect China to waive the diplomatic immunity of Chen and other involved officials if police find grounds to charge them.
A study of nearly 2,000 children found that those who reported playing video games for 3 hours per day or more performed better on cognitive skill tests involving impulse control and working memory compared to children who had never played video games. This study analyzed data from the ongoing Adolescents Brain Cognitive Development Study, which is supported by the U.S. National Institute on Drug Abuse and other entities of the U.S. National Institutes of Health.
According to the study, functional MRI brain imaging analyses found that children who played video games for 3 or more hours per day showed higher brain activity in regions of the brain associated with attention and memory than did those who never played. At the same time, those children who played at least 3 hours of video games per day showed more brain activity in frontal brain regions that are associated with more cognitively demanding tasks, and less brain activity in brain regions related to vision.
它是 strike 这动词的过去式。strike a deal 就是
学习，享受一个人的美好时光。FUNDAY 英语。
Giorgia Meloni is Italy's first woman prime minister, but is choosing to refer to herself using the masculine form of her new title, in the first statement issued by her office on Sunday. In Italian, a name can take a masculine form or feminine form, and Meloni's formal title of Presidente del Consiglio was preceded by the masculine article il rather than the feminine la. The Accademia della Crusca, a guardian of the Italian language, has said using the feminine for positions held by women is the grammatically correct choice.
However, Accademia della Crusca President Claudia Marazzini told Italian news agency Kronos, anyone who prefers to use the traditional masculine form for ideological or generational reasons has every right to do so. While the first Italian female prime minister chose a masculine article to precede her title, she also opposes female quotas in boardrooms and parliament, arguing the women should rise to the top through merit, and appointed just 6 women to her 24-strong cabinet on Friday.
On Monday, warnings of a constitutional crisis growing louder in Lebanon as its parliament has failed to elect a president for the 4th time with just a week left until President Michel Aoun's term ends. With parliament more fractured than ever after May's election, political blocs have been unable to reach a consensus on a candidate to succeed Aoun. Anticipating another vacuum at the top, politicians have stepped up efforts to agree on a new cabinet led by Sunni Muslim Prime Minister Najib Mikati.
The Lebanese presidency has fallen vacant several times since the 1975 to 1990 civil war, but a vacuum now would be especially worrisome. The government is already operating in a caretaker capacity, and the country is sinking deeper into a 3-year-old financial meltdown. Economic and political turmoil has sunk the currency by more than 90%, spread poverty, paralyzed the financial system, and frozen depositors out of their savings in the most destabilizing crisis since the country's civil war.
The husband of Japan's former princess Mako, Kei Komuro, has passed New York State bar exam on his 3rd try, a result that is sure to bring relief to a couple dogged by intense criticism and scrutiny from the Japanese public. According to the New York State Board of Law Examiners, 9,609 candidates, including first-time and repeat takers, took the July test. Of those, 6,350 were successful, making the pass rate 66%, which is a 3% higher than overall pass rates for the July 2021 exam.
Komuro began working at a legal firm in New York after graduating from Fordham University's law school with a Juris Doctor degree in May 2021. He and Mako Komuro, the eldest granddaughter of Emperor Akihito, moved to the U.S. after tying the knot last October. The couple married amid public controversy over a financial dispute involving Kei Komuro's mother and her former fiancé. In an unprecedented step for an imperial marriage, Mako skipped the traditional rites and declined a lump sum payment of about 150 million yen, $998,000 at current exchange rates, in taxpayer money amid the unease over the financial dispute.
Diwali is one of the biggest Hindu festivals celebrated around the world. Held in autumn every year, the festival dates back to ancient times when the end of the summer harvest seasons was celebrated. Legend has it that on this day, many eons ago, Lord Rama, an avatar of the Hindu god Vishnu, returned home triumph after 14 long years of exile. To illuminate the path through which they return and in order to guide them home, diyas, clay lamps are lit everywhere and the world is bathed in golden hues of light.
Diwali, which means the Festival of Lights, signifies the triumph of light over darkness and good over evil. To others, Diwali is dedicated to the goddess Lakshmi, who is believed to bring wealth and prosperity. In many households, celebrations include a puja worship of the goddess to pray for health and happiness, which lasts for 5 days. This is also the time for the annual Indian gold rush, because buying gold or silver before Diwali is considered auspicious.
FUNDAY News will help sharpen your English skills while keeping you informed on current international events. Tune into our other FUNDAY programs to learn more about the world's most important topics in English. Click the link below now to join FUNDAY for free. I am Wade Lee, your host, and I'll see you next time.